for everybody that's watching this. I'm Well, and this is Uni from Out on the Shelf organization. Would you mind giving a little introduction as to what Out on the Shelf is?
Yeah, so Out of the Shelf is a queer library and resource center. So we have like a physical library where we have books and other like resources, DVDs and things like that. But also we run a lot of queer programming. Um, and we're just sort of a place, I think, for the queer community in Guelph to sort of like get resources and connect with other queer folks.
Amazing. That's awesome. Where's the, you said the building, you guys have a library, right?
Yeah, so our library is located at the 10C building, like
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 4 Carden Street or something like across from City Hall
Yeah.
on the second floor. It's a really beautiful space. But of course, because of the pandemic, like that space has been closed down this past year. Mhm.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate situation we find ourselves in. For folks that have never been there, it's quite pretty. The little pond out front of City Hall and that back road there, if that's
Mhm.
where it is really nice. So that's awesome. So let's start off then with a year recap. What
Ooh.
has working in the online environment been like for your guys' organization, speaking of the pandemic?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Back in March, like when we shut down the library, we kind of quickly sort of, I think originally we were just going to close it down for a month, but then, more information came. And so it's just been closed. Um, and what was kind of unfortunate is that a lot of our programming, so like a lot of the events that we hold are held in that space.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like, I think what like grounds us because we are a library.
Mhm.
So we've had to really quickly pivot to online. And I think that took us a while. Our activities have been a lot quieter this past year. I think we're a completely volunteer run organization. So all the board members are volunteers. And I think everyone was just burned out. Um, yeah, everyone had Zoom fatigue. And so that was really challenging. But we still managed to get, like, I think a lot of really good stuff done. Like, Guelph Pride is also part of Out on the Shelf, and
Mhm.
they did like virtual spring and like winter Guelph Pride events, which was really amazing. And although a lot of our programming kind of went on hiatus a little bit, we've like managed to get a Zoom account, and now we're kind of in the state of like trying to like revive those again. And the board has been meeting monthly through Zoom, so I've gotten really intimate with everyone's like living situations. And it's actually a very new board. We have a lot of like new board members who've come on board. So we're all just kind of like figuring it out together. But I would say what was nice is that despite the fact that we don't have like a lot of output this year, um, everyone was very like compassionate and empathetic. And I think everyone's just kind of like, everyone's spread out. Like it's okay if things are slow. People should focus on, making sure they feel good. So I think in some ways the board has gotten closer together this past year. So yeah, that's kind of what's been happening this past year.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think that goes for a lot of people, right? Like the number one priority, yeah, regardless of whether things still remain productive, is making sure everybody's still okay, right? With all the
Mhm.
changes in the current climate, it can become overwhelming to not even just check in on yourself and make sure and check in on the people that you care about that they're still doing okay, right? Like this has had an impact on everybody in very different ways. But that's good to hear that you guys really gelled together and kind of build something out of it. So that's awesome. Are board members just community members, or is there like specific?
Yeah, so it's like some folks are students, some folks are like we have folks that like work in other libraries. We have folks who work in different community organizations. So yeah, it's just a group of people who are interested. If anyone ever wants to be more involved, like we're always, not always, but oftentimes we are looking for new board members. I think if you're looking to build some like leadership skills, it could be a really good opportunity. Mhm.
Absolutely. For those watching, it's definitely a good chance to really build your communication habits, get your time management under control, and help contribute to something that's pretty big in our community. So that's awesome. So we've kind of seen where things were. now let's try and shift our focus to where are y'all now?
Yeah, so we are now kind of, I think maybe because it's like, spring and we're coming out of hibernation, that we're starting to like revive a lot of stuff again. So we had a games night where, people meet and play games. So I think that's starting up again. I think we're starting up we used to have a monthly sort of like knitting group. So sort of a knitting craft group is starting up again. And this past year, we put in a grant application to start, because we're thinking about virtual programming. So we're thinking about starting a book club. So that's kind of in the planning stages right now. So like a lot of our programming is coming back up. The other big thing that's been happening right now is we have a graduate student who's working with us doing sort of like a placement for their program. And so they've been really great. They've been helping us sort of update our website with sort of updating resources. And then the other big thing is, I think we've been focusing a lot more, maybe because we're in the online environment too, but on accessibility. So like making sure things are closed captioned, or maybe even having like interpreters, and even looking at website accessibility. So that's been kind of our focus. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Oh, and then we're also preparing for our annual general meeting, because we have a meeting once a year where all the members can kind of come and see what the board has been up to and provide their feedback and stuff. So I think that's going to be in the summer. So we're kind of preparing for that as well.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like you might be in need of some programming assistance in the coming
Mhm.
months. Right? Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity coming out of this. That's awesome to hear. And it sounds like this annual meeting is going to be pretty exciting to get things back on track and see what the future holds for you guys. So that's great. And then do you guys have any specific, well, I mean, you mentioned quite a few already, but is there any specific events you're thinking of having in the next coming months that are connected with the community?
Yeah, so I guess event wise, maybe this is a little bit further out, but obviously like Guelph Pride will have events again in the summer. Um, uh, Maybe, oh, one thing I guess is that I think one thing that we realize is, because of the pandemic, I think we were feeling a little bit like not connected. So I think we're gonna try a community assessment project and sort of develop a survey just to see like what are the things that the community needs. Well, that's not really an event though, so it didn't answer your question. I'd say, yeah, I'd say like if you go to our socials, you'll see like the monthly programming coming back up on the calendar. And then I guess, yeah, the annual general meeting is kind of our big event that's coming up.
Yeah, and people should be staying tuned to your socials just to find out more, right? Do you guys have Instagram?
Yeah, so we have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I think the Facebook is more active because people, I think, share like different events, whereas the Instagram and Twitter is controlled by us. And if someone's interested in social media, we also always are looking to expand our committees. But yeah, that's probably the best place to find information about us, or our website.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm sure for any folks interested in digital marketing, this is the outlet for it, right? Kind of getting a chance to play around, learn some different things about how to use these tools for your advantage and make good things out of it, right? Like the main idea is to just build a community that's more connected, and this is an awesome chance to get that done. So that's really cool.
Actually, I forgot to mention, I remember last year we participated in Project Serve. And so we had some folks help me create sort of like a volunteer newsletter. And we haven't been able to launch it yet because all of our programming was kind of on hiatus. So there wasn't really information to put in it. But I think that's going to be something that we're going to be doing. And that was because several volunteers helped me like bring up ideas and brainstorm on like what kind of communication people would like. So yeah, I think what's great about Out on the Shelf is that you can kind of create your own volunteer opportunity in some ways. Like if there's a thing you're interested in or a skill you want to learn or kind of pursue, it's a pretty, we're a pretty like chill group of people. So it's a good, like, I think a good way to experiment and try something.
Definitely. It sounds like it's a really good way to kind of figure out where your interests lie and then get to explore those in after the fact, right? So that's awesome stuff. I think we've got time for a few more questions if you're
Sure,
open.
yeah.
Perfect. So I mean, we've kind of gone over what it's like being connected, but are you still finding that the same challenges are occurring in staying connected? Which is to be
Yeah,
expected, right?
I think everyone is still burnt out. um, and yeah, so we've been trying to figure out different communication modes. Like I think originally we were doing email a lot before, but now we use like Slack to communicate. And then we've been experimenting with like a project management tool called Asana
Oh,
that
cool.
helps you like create tasks and you can like kind of do things like that. But I think still it's everyone's tired. um,
Totally.
yeah, and because it is like a volunteer, like we don't have any paid staff or this is no one's full-time job, so everyone's just carving out time to do these things. Um, so yeah, the challenges still remain, but I think um, again, even if that is the case, like everyone's so nice about it that I think that actually makes me a little bit more lazy because I'm like, if I didn't do anything, then everyone will understand. But that's something I think that, yeah, like it's a really good group of people. I think that is very encouraging of one another. Mhm.
I was gonna say, yeah, the newfound chemistry, it sounds like everybody kind of just feeds off of whatever anybody can do and gets it done when
Mhm.
they can, and that's all you can really ask for, right? Especially
Mhm.
with everything being so weird nowadays. So sounds like a lot of really good positives to come out of this. Is there any one in particular thing that you've really loved about watching the organization kind of adapt and grow over the last year?
I think what's been, at least for me, like personally for me, what's been really good is because we've all been sort of um, disconnected. It forces you to communicate more, and so I
Yeah.
think I've gotten a better look at or better understanding of what all the different chairs do. Like we have a library chair, we have a programming chair, we have like a fundraising chair, marketing chair, and so I'm just more in tune to what's going on, and it's been really amazing to see like all the things that we're still doing despite it being a pandemic. So yeah, that would be the positive thing. Mhm.
Yeah, I could see why, right? It's kind of because it's given us this chance to remain paused for a while. You really get to dive into other people's experiences at a different level, right? I think
Mhm.
from the perspective that I've seen so far, you get to see another side of people because of being in like their homes and Zoom meetings or getting to know them at different random times. Like I don't know if this is the same for you, but having chats with people at 3 in the morning because that's just the only time
Yeah.
that you can get a hold
Mhm.
of them. And it's interesting. I think it's really brought back the human aspect of being human and being connected to people. So I could definitely see
Totally.
why.
That's one thing actually. So for we have a board meeting every month, and the chair of the board, they've been doing this thing where at the beginning of the meeting, we just do a go around of like, name, pronoun, but also like how you're feeling that day. And that could be like very general or like very specific. And I found like that was such like a humanizing way of like starting a meeting. And then you kind of know what people's vibes are, like if they're having a particularly hard day that day, or maybe something good happens. So yeah, just those chats have been really good. Mhm.
Definitely, and they're a great outlet for yourself to get your own stuff across and to just kind of build that empathetic side of your own life, right? Getting to see what people are going through, kind of help them and still remain like a close knit team. That's awesome stuff to hear. That's great. And then I guess just one final question on my end. Outside, I mean, we've kind of already mentioned the socials. Is there a particular website that people can get a hold of
Yeah.
you?
So you can find our stuff on outontheshelf.com. And then there's like a volunteer page there where we list all the committees you can volunteer for and what are some like specific opportunities we're looking for right now. You can
Mhm.
also, so I'm the volunteer chair. So you can also email me at volunteer@outontheshelf.com if you have any questions. Mhm.
Amazing. Yeah. And for folks, you could also reach out to us, or you can also reach out, or you can also access our course link page as we have the Out on the Shelf community partner there with some details about their roles and their positions, and that's just another way to get a hold of them. So thank you so much, Uni. This was great.
Oh, thank you.
I learned quite a bit about you guys and just what's going on your end, and I'm really excited to see how the next couple months pan out for you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, for everybody watching, take care, enjoy your week, and reach out to Out on the Shelf. They're gonna be having some big upcoming stuff in the future that you should definitely be taking a part of.
Mhm.
Awesome. Take care.